Hello Internet, Dyce Quirk here, and today I'm going to be going over the JET SOP so that you can have a better shot at living and working in Japan. In this video, we'll go over the SOP's formatting, as well as some tips and tricks so that you can have the best shot possible of them reading it and then inviting you in for an interview. Now, if you're new here, nice to meet you. My name's Tim Fordyce, and I am a 2020 accepted JET, so I know exactly where you're at. You're doing all of this studying, you're trying to figure out everything you can so that you have the best shot possible, and I just wanted to take the information I have and condense it and share it with you in a nice, concise, yet comprehensive video. So, thank you so much for stopping by. Let's not waste time and let's get to it. Now, this paper is most likely the most important document in the entire application process, and that's because it not only tells them why you're qualified for the JET program, but it also gives them an inside look on who you are as a person, and that's normally pretty hard to do to begin with. But they also add some rigid formatting requirements, such as it has to only be two pages long, no bigger or no smaller. It has to have a 1-inch margin on every side. It has to be double spaced. It has to be Arial or Times New Roman font, and you also have to put your last name and page number in the top upper right-hand corner. And honestly, that's not a lot of space to tell them about who you are as a person, and to also take care of all of the other things that they want you to do inside of the SOP. So, let's take a look at some of the requirements that they have for this SOP. And so to start off, remember, they're asking you to answer 4 questions within this SOP. And the first one being, why do you want to join the JET program? Why are you interested in being an ALT? And remember to be specific. Why JET as opposed to any other program? There's plenty of other teaching exchange programs in the world. Why are you interested in being in JET specifically? And as far as why do you want to be an ALT, what are you gaining from becoming an ALT? How does that apply to your future goals or your future profession? Remember, they want specific answers. Question number 2, what can you offer the JET program? Now, remember in this video up here when I went over the core values of what the JET program is trying to accomplish. I went really in depth in there. I'm only going to go surface level right here. And that is, number 1, they want to inspire the people of Japan to practice internationalization. Number 2, they want to give opportunities to the people of Japan for them to interact with foreigners at a grassroots community level. And number 3, they want to teach English to the people so that they have that skill, as well as to help inspire them to practice internationalization with other English-speaking countries. And when I say, what can you offer the JET program? What I really mean is, what will you do as a result of getting accepted into the JET program? What do you hope to accomplish that is being offered up to the JET program? And I wanted to bring that up because it needs to be distinguished a little bit more from the next question. Question number 3. What experience do you have, and how will it be helpful to you while you're in the JET program? Now, in this section, you don't just want to say what you've done, you want to give evidence for what you've done. And not only that, you kind of want to make sure that you don't just keep on repeating everything that you've already put inside your application so that it's not boring, but also so that it gives them a better view of who you are as a person. And this is a great opportunity for you to insert different things where you are interacting with the community, as well as maybe you're teaching. You want to make sure that you're telling them more about who you are, while also giving them perfect examples for how what you've done will be helpful in the program. For example, I was a youth pastor, and so I worked not only with youth, but I also worked in the community, and I built up community events. So mentioning things like that, which might not appear inside of your regular application, is going to be incredibly helpful for showing them that you're perfect for this program. So, question number 4, what is the JET program doing for you, both professionally and personally? And how will you share your experience in the JET program with others in the future? Now, this might sound like 2 questions that have been jammed into one, but if JET is combining the 2, then you can probably guess that JET is hoping that your future career goals and personal goals are in line with their goal for internationalization. Whether that's sharing this information directly with people personally, or whether that's actually practicing internationalization directly. Now, you can answer these questions as if they're mutually exclusive, but if you somehow can tie your personal goals and your career goals with some form of internationalization in how you're going to share this information in the future, then it's probably going to be a really nice bonus for you. Just make sure, however you do answer it, that you are sharing what the JET program is doing for you, like how you're going to benefit from the program, and also make sure you include how you plan on sharing this information with others in the future. Also, I don't want to make it sound much harder, but you have to make sure that you do not write out the question in any form within your paper. What I mean by that is you want to make sure that your answers that you put into the paper are noticeable to the reader without them having the question directly in front of it. And this is going to save you a load of space, and that's really important considering it's a 2-page double-spaced paper, as well as just make the entire thing flow much better. And so one way to make this easier is to plan out how you want the paper to flow before you begin writing it. For example, you could start with how you became interested in Japan, and then have that flow into who you are as a person, followed by how you would function in Japan, and finish out with how this experience is going to assist you in your future goals, both professionally and personally. And you really just want to make sure that you have an idea of how you want the paper to flow from not only one topic to another, but also from one question to another. That way, when other people read it, it should be a lot easier to read, as well as a much more memorable experience for them. Also, remember to keep it unique and focused on your best characteristics. And the reason why is because once they read this paper, if they decide to invite you in for an interview, you won't have to spend nearly as much time trying to convince them that you're the person that's on the paper, because it's just naturally who you are. Now, I am going to share a few more tips, but first, if you found this video informative or helpful, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you know somebody else trying to get into the JET program, don't be stingy. Please share this video with them if you think that it could be helpful for them. So, let's move on to the next tip. So, next tip, proofread and have it read by as many people as you possibly can. And that's because this is a very difficult paper to write. First off, it shouldn't be written like a cover letter. It should be written more like a quick view into your life. When people read this, it shouldn't be just they read it and they see it as a piece of paper, but instead you want them to see this paper as a piece of who you are. After reading it, they should know what kind of person you are, they should know what your future dreams and goals are, and they should know that this JET program thing that you're applying for, it is the logical next step in this person's life goals. So, this can be really difficult to do, especially when you have a 2-page double-spaced page limit, and you also have to answer these 4 other questions while expressing who you are as a person. And that's why proofreading is going to be super, super helpful, because they're going to give you a lot of insight that you're not normally going to have. However, having said that, don't take every person's advice. You need to be open to critique, but you honestly know more about this JET program than they do, and you know what your goals are and what you have to accomplish within this paper. However, if they notice something that sounds weird, or that isn't worded well, or they read it and they think that this section doesn't make any sense, then that means you have to work on making it flow better so that it can be a more memorable and easy to read SOP. Also, you probably can already guess, but you need to allot a significant amount of time to write this paper. Get started early, and you should have multiple drafts of this paper by the time you finish. It's not something that you write once real quick and then you just turn it in. This is something that has to be checked by multiple people. You have to read over it several times, making sure it answers all of the different questions that you have to answer. You have to make sure that you are making this less... It does have to be professional, but it doesn't need to be so professional that it loses a personal feel. It should be a very personal and professional written paper. In addition to that, you really need to make sure that you're open to critique. That is very, very important when writing this paper. So there's also one more thing that I just want to say specifically to Christian applicants. Okay, so I wanted to add this real quick because when I was looking at videos and stuff online, I never saw anybody talk about this, and for me, it was really difficult. So I was a youth pastor, and I want to do pastoral work over in Japan, eventually do missions, and I was always freaked out about whether or not I should include that in my paper. And to not include it would be literally to chop out, like, half of my entire life from this paper, and it wouldn't be a good representation of who I was. And so I just want to speak to anybody else that's a Christian or a pastor or somebody that wants to do missions in Japan. Make sure that if that's part of your goals, that you include that in your paper, because you don't need to be freaked out. The JET program isn't going to immediately disqualify you because you're interested in missions or something. That might have just been something I was freaked out about and others wouldn't be, but I wanted to make sure I included that in this because I find it important that other people that are interested in that kind of goal don't feel like they have to be like hiding it in any way. So I just wanted to include that for you guys. And having said everything, if you have any other questions about the SOP, I would love to answer them. I also included a copy of my SOP in the description so you can check it out. Personally, I think that it was written pretty well. So, if you have an SOP that you'd like us to check out, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I'll try to check out as many as I can, but if we have a lot of SOPs, it's going to be very difficult for me to read them all. So, hope to see you guys, and I hope that you guys make it into the program. Yeah, thank you so much for checking out this video, and with all of that said, Dyce Quirk out.